Well, everybody, welcome to episode 300. Yes, this is episode 300, and I had to do it because it's election eve, the day before election, actually late night. I am doing this podcast. It is me alone, and of course, I got Morty right here back with me. But I am doing this podcast, and I first want to thank Oliva. They've been great. They're always good people, great people to work with. I have to thank them again, and you can see them right up there as well. I do even have a cigar because I have to smoke my cigars. But I'm really hopped on this election right now, so I really wanted to get into it. I'm doing this recording, and this very important, in my mind, very important recording, and I'll tell you why, guys. First of all, it's probably one of the most important elections we'll ever have. That's not just me saying this, everybody. That is Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, other guys that have been out there understanding how this whole machine of politics works. Listen, no matter what happens today, or yes, today you're listening to this, and no matter which way you vote, first of all, one, I hope you vote. I really do. I want you to get out there. I want you to exercise your right to vote. I don't have that right to vote. Yes, people say, well, you should get it back, Larry, if you do everything. Well, when you have a very intense case like mine with mega fines and all this kind of stuff, and you can't pay them or you do certain other things, and you don't get your rights back. You wish you would, and I still think it's taxation without representation, but that's a whole nother show. We are going to get into the election, which is going to be going on. What I think is going to happen. I mean, I feel almost like an old Rush Limbaugh, if you remember that. He used to go for 4 hours. I can do this because it's been on my mind how to talk to you guys about this, what to talk to you guys about, making sure that I believe everything. First of all, everything I say, I believe it. I did a video yesterday, just earlier yesterday, however you want to do this. And I just want to give everybody an update of where I was at. And I still want to do what I'm doing. I do love what I'm doing. I think it's very important I do what I do. The more comments I got in my last video and wishing me good luck with my health. Thank you again, both you guys on this podcast and of course on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I do really, really appreciate that. Now, let's get right into the election. People who know me know I do my research. Cabby Bob will come to mind. He's one of the good guys that I love to debate stuff with. I love to talk to him about stuff because he is well educated and he knows how to speak well. He's better at it than me because he's calmer. He probably listens better. I can be hot-headed. I get it. I can be wrong in a lot of ways, and stuck on my points. But I will say this. I am a person that if you prove me wrong or if you debate me and you could win my point, I am open to it. I am open to talking about it. I am open to changing my mind, and I will change my mind. That I hope everybody will do. I'm not here today telling everybody how to vote because you probably already voted. I'm not, because who am I? I have my opinions on what goes on. I think we all do, and we all should. I really want people to vote more for the local elections as much as their national election. The presidential election. I want you to understand who your councilmen are. I had a couple of messages on my last YouTube video, and they said, "Hey, Larry, I voted for my whole, I voted, I did my research, I looked up my local people, and that's great because those are the people who are going to affect you most. They really are." But let's get back into this election here for a little bit before I get on policing as well. First of all, where are we at? It used to be listen, I was a Democrat at one time. I was been a Republican. I was a young Republican. I was a young Democrat, actually. So I've been on both sides. Everybody who knows me knows I am socially liberal, very socially, meaning I don't care what you do sexually. I don't care what you do drug-wise. That's your own business. What you do in your own house, that's true libertarianism. This is what you do is your domain, as long as you're not hurting others. Not affecting others or doing anything against a kid, of course, or anything like that. So I am very, very much a big believer in being socially liberal. The minute you start telling people what they could like socially, whether it's you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't have sex with a man or a woman or both, or whatever you do, that's none of my business, period. And it shouldn't be none of your business or anybody's business. The minute you start projecting your values or your way of thinking and expecting it to be the right way is wrong. I don't tell people what religion to follow. I don't tell people what person to date, color, race, anything. It's up to everybody individually. It really is. And I want everybody to get that in their head. I really do. That's very important in my mind. I think it's very important. Now, let me keep going. So now this election, we have Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Let's face it, I'm not hyped on both of these candidates. I do not like Kamala Harris for reasons I said earlier, and the reasons are what she's done to people as a state attorney general in the state of California. What she has done is she had DNA evidence of a person that should have been out. They didn't let her out. Don't think that's right. She put people in jail for minor marijuana and a bunch of crap like that. Supposedly California is supposed to be a liberal state. I don't know how they're liberal. I really don't. And I don't think she was elected in a right way. I think they pushed President Biden out, literally. Is he incompetent? Yes. Is he have signs of dementia? In my mind, yes. But where does she come in just because she's the vice president? Why didn't they invoke the 25th Amendment then, which is making the president incapable of handling his job? In fact, if that's why they pushed him out and didn't want him to run, who's running the country now while she's running around political campaigning? Who? Obviously, it's not her as the vice president. I don't think she was ever won one primary. I don't even think she came in the top 3. I think she was first out. Ever since Tulsi Gabbard, the congresswoman from or senator, she might have been senator congresswoman from Hawaii. She blasted her on stage, and she was dead right in everything she said. And there's a woman who that I think should have been president personally. War hero, I could go on, served and all that. What has Kamala Harris accomplished? I can't see it. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, the guy's a billionaire. Whether you believe he's worth 1 billion or 10 billion, it does not matter. Obviously, he's a wealthy individual. Did he do it by way of shady stuff? Maybe a little bit. Yes. Do most of them do it? Probably yes. But here's the problem we have right now. If we let the machine, and I'm going to call, everybody used to think the Republicans were the machine. I disagree, man. The Democrats have become the big machine. And, the Democrats used to be all about, say, 10 years ago, they were the freedom people. They were the ones that wanted freedom the most. They wanted, liberal views. They wanted freedom of speech, all that. Now you're seeing them trying to shut people down. I don't see anything on the mainstream media about her defaults or her negativity. I don't see it on Jimmy Kimmel or any of the shows at night. I don't see it. Anybody coming out on the CNNs and everything else really saying what's wrong with her. Not one of them. Even when she's proven wrong, even when she makes a gaffe, even when she made a pick of Tim Walz as the vice president. Boy, there's a wacko. There's a man who lied about his service, who lied about being at Tiananmen Square. And now that guy's the vice president. Now, listen, nobody votes for the vice president. I really don't believe they do. In this case, I like J.D. Vance more than I like Tim Walz. And I'm not saying he's great either. I don't like everything he does. But I do think he's an educated man who has views and can be debated. And he's not a one, my way or the highway guy. Now, that's my opinions. My opinions on this election are we are faced. Listen, I want a female president. I want a person of color. I think President Obama was a great president. like me or hate me for that. I think he was a great president, great communicator. That he kept things in it. There was no scandals, nothing. And he did 8 years like that. And as the first black president, and first of all, she's not even black. She's lied about that for sure. You know, I think, listen, I want you to really research. Now, I know you listen to news, listen to this, how Trump's bad, Trump's this. Listen, in 4 years, what did Trump do that was so bad? He's going to course create, the world's going to end, we're not going to have a trade. None of that came about. That is hyperbole. That is the media trying to get involved in saying things. Listen, look at his actions. I didn't say look at his wording. I said look at his actions. We need a strong border. What did she do for the border? She did nothing. We don't have a country unless we have a border. Just remember that. There is no United States without a border. I want you to remember that, and I really mean that. That's very important in my mind. Now, do you think Trump will do better? Did he say outlandish things like, I'm going to make Mexico pay for the wall? No, they didn't pay for the wall. Even some people say, well, they did because this. No, they did not do that. The American people footed the bill for that wall. But you know what? It's peanuts compared to what the government spends. And we needed a wall. We need a border. I'm not also hyper-pooling that everybody walks in here as a criminal and they're all bringing fentanyl and all. That's all bullshit too. You know, both sides have their bullshit. But we need a border because right now Kamala Harris ran the border for 3.5 or 4 years and did absolutely zero. In fact, we have more people coming in. And here's where I think there's a problem. And think about this. You know, the government is sending people to all these states. Why would you send people to states? Because then you could win the state. If you send them to Georgia or Arizona or Pennsylvania and they're doing good and that those states have the social programs and stuff like that they want, they're going to vote who put them there. And that is really swinging an election. That's swinging an election more than money could do. Because now you're taking about very small margins of winning in some of these states. And what do you get? You get somebody putting in X amount of, they said there was 600,000 people come through the border or whatever it was. Where are they? And where are they voting? And sadly, why should they even be allowed to vote? You know, I am flabbergasted why the state of California doesn't even want people to show their IDs to vote. That boggles my mind. I need to show my ID for everything. You need to show your ID when you buy beer. I'm 63 years old, and when I went to Winn-Dixie the other day and bought beer, they have to come over and prove that I'm over 21. So you have to show an ID. And you don't want showing ID for voting for the most important office in this world, in the country, probably the world. It just makes zero sense. I think the last poll out was like 85% of all people think you should have to have an ID to vote. Well, you need an ID. Why should somebody walk off the streets and just be able to vote? Oh, I'm John Blow. I'm the vote. Bullshit. Oh, we'll verify that. Bullshit. By that time that's all done, everybody's in office and done crap their shit. And nothing is changing. That's bullshit, people. And I hope everybody at least believes that. I really can't even imagine somebody not believing that personally. And that really just boggles my mind. That's why this election to me, listen, do I think this election is going to really change my life in the biggest way possible? No. Here's why. Because I'm 63. Listen, if I live another 20 years, whatever happens is probably going to take that long. But a lot of you young people out there who are 22, 23, 25, those are the people that these elections really are going to hurt because it goes down the line. I love debating my buddy Bobby, Cabby Bob. You all know him here from the show. Cabby Bob was a poll worker, and what happened, and he verified something. I remember Nick complaining about that's not true. He did the right thing. He took things to the situation, went and made it a call and put aside. And if it happened, it happened. It didn't, it didn't. But that, as a precinct lead of a precinct, they call him precinct commander, or whatever you want to call him, the voting precinct lead of that voting precinct. Listen, those people are just, first of all, they're volunteers. Second of all, you hope they're doing the right thing, regardless of party. And there is checks and balances. There really is checks and balances. So I do believe in our system. But do I think things can happen dirty? Absolutely. I mean, listen, I am not one that buys into conspiracy theories and that it's all faked and all. Do I think the last election was rigged against them? No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think you can get that many states to be in collusion to actually throw the election. I think Donald Trump did some bad and stupid things and couldn't accept losing. That's really what that was about, in my opinion. Now, do I think things can happen? Do I think there is voter fraud every year? Absolutely. If you think we have 300 and whatever, there's 370 million people. I don't know how many people. I think about 125, 130 million people vote. Something, give or take that. Let's call it 140 million. You're going to have fraud. You're going to have mess ups. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have outright fraud on both sides. So this is not, and now, is that fraud that big enough to change the election? A lot of people who say, yes, Larry, it is, or any fraud is not. You're right. But, when Al Gore lost with the hanging chads to George W. Bush, not H.W., he was the father, George W. Bush, and he won the hanging chads. That's what they called it in Florida, actually. Was that cheating? I mean, you're winning an election like that and counting the chads and not pulled out because the punch didn't do it or whatever it was. Let's face it, man. I mean, the Democrats didn't go crazy. They accepted it. Al Gore accepted it. Obviously, I think, Donald Trump should have accepted the last one. I think it would have been a no-brainer this time. To be honest, I really do. I do think there is machines against him. And just like there's a machine. Morty, hey, stop that, Morty. I do think there's a total. Come here, Morty. Come on, baby. Okay. He's in a vote too. Do I think there's let's put it this way. There's going to be fraud. I hope whoever loses accepts the loss, congratulates the winner, and moves on, whoever it is. I want one person personally. I want Donald Trump. I'm not a MAGA, but I want Donald Trump to win. And if he doesn't, we're going to move on. We're going to get up the following day. We're going to go to work. We're going to do our thing. I'm going to be in St. Louis. I want to let everybody know that as well. I will be in St. Louis from Thursday through Sunday. I will let people know where we're at. Maybe we're going to have a bonfire. We can have some beers, and everybody wants to stop by. Bring a six-pack. Bring a couple of beers. We all sit around, hang out, and bullshit. I love to do that with people around a nice fire. I got a lot of firewood. Let me just put it that way. So I am going to be in the St. Louis area. I will let you know where I am as well. I'll let all my platforms know. Now, moving on to the next part of what I want to talk about, and that's policing. I actually videoed a show with Nick and my friend Paul Tellini and another good friend of mine, Caesar. We're all three ex-cons. I took the video. And I could not put it up. And I'll tell you why. Because Nick was out of control. He'll admit that. I think he had a few too many that day, which is okay. But we were discussing his issue with the policing in Key West. We're going to find out more about this whole entire case in the very near future. I just paid money to get the body cam footage and the dash cam footage of the incident, and if Nick was out of line in any way. Listen, I went to lunch with a judge friend of mine this weekend, and he actually could not believe that some officer had his motorcycle towed. Now, here's what pissed me off about this whole incident, and you heard about it a little bit. They really putting a young person behind the eight ball. Now, if Nick didn't have me to help him get out of that, where is he? He's on the street. He's homeless. Literally. Comes back from Key West, spent his money. He was patronizing all the businesses in Key West, had a good time, paid for drinks, did his thing, spent money, had money to get home. They stop him and they tow his motorcycle, tow it to an impound, which was all BS. Cost $500 to get it. $500. Did you hear that? $200 hookup fee, $100, $108 mileage, $13 a mile for 11 miles. Then another $50 administration fee, and then the storage place and the tow place gets they were supposed to get $200 for weekend tow and all that, but the guy even gave me a break there because that's who we can give a break on. And it still cost me $500 to get a motorcycle out. Now, with that said, person gets his motorcycle towed, he's got $27 and he has nobody to call. What happens? What happens? And please don't be out there saying, well, Larry should have just had his motorcycle endorsement. It's harder than you think to do even that. It's not like the motor vehicle right here. You can go down there and schedule a test and take it and pass it and get your license. No, your endorsement. You have to go to a class. You have to pay another $250. This is, let's say you buy a motorcycle. Where's the probation period? But buys a motorcycle, signs up for the class that's 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away, registers the bike. They let him register the bike. It's registered. He goes, he uses it. Has a driver's license, people. It's not like he does not have a driver's license. He has a driver's license, which means he knows the rules of the road. Only thing a motorcycle endorsement is to show that you know how to ride a motorcycle. That's it. That you know how to brake, that you understand traffic, you understand the rules of the road, you understand some hand signals, you understand how to lean a bike over, how to, mostly for yourself, people. You know, I mean, obviously he's been riding a motorcycle for a while, went to the Keys on his way back, and then get screwed like that. I could see if somebody doesn't have a license at all, okay, what are you doing on the road? You don't even know what a stop sign is. You don't know what yield is. You don't know what a double yellow line is. You don't know what a yellow line and then a space line and a white line to pass lanes. Listen, if you have a driver's license, you understand all that. Everybody does. Having the driver. Now, not having the endorsement is part of the law. So legally, technically, Nick is wrong. I looked the law up. But did the police use good judgment? I think not. Do I think they were out either for a money grab? We're going to find out. I'm going to get down deep on this. He had a court appearance. Now, here's another thing. Now you got a young guy. Let's say he does scramble somehow. He begs people. He does some. He sleeps on the street for a day, gets back, doesn't lose his job. But now, since it's a second-degree misdemeanor, just no motorcycle endorsement, second-degree misdemeanor. Now it's a misdemeanor. He has to appear in court. Well, Nick is 6.5, 7 hours away from court. How do you handle that? Now you got to take a day off or two from work, right? Now you have to travel down there, accept whatever fines more. How does your boss do it? How does he keep you working? You know, what happens then? A kid like that doesn't show up. They're not going to come knocking on his door. Here's what's going to happen. The judge is going to issue what they call a bench warrant. It's going to go in the system. And the next time Nick gets stopped, wherever he is in the state of Florida, he's going to be arrested for an outstanding warrant. He's going to go to jail, probably not have the money to get out again, have to wait there a few more days until the judge says, let's let this guy out. He spent enough time in jail. How can we handle this? We're not talking about causing anybody damage, doing anything. A motorcycle endorsement. I'm not talking a license either. So now he's behind the 8 ball again. Now he's in debt. He doesn't pay his rent. He gets kicked out. It's such a snowball effect in today's world that, in my mind, the sheriff in this case should be going, what are you guys, crazy? First of all, why are you towing a vehicle The guy told him, and I'm going to look in the body cam, told him he had $27 in his pocket. $27. If that was me in that same situation, I think I would have told that cop, you know what? Just arrest me. You can arrest me. You said, this is what Nick said, and we're going to find out again, that the cop said, this, I can actually arrest you. Well, arrest me. At least give me a place to put a roof over my head for tonight. I can't get my bike out of the tow place storage. First of all, it's a Sunday. They want extra money for that. So now it's not open. You can't get your motorcycle out. And now you're going to sleep on the street? What do you start walking from the keys? Of course not. So what do? Sleep on the streets? Maybe, I don't know, rob something. Somebody's going to do something to survive. And now he gets caught or goes deeper into whatever happens to him. This is how snowball effects. Now, I know what everybody out there might say. Larry, just get your notice out. Don't do it. Easy said than done, people. First of all, easier said than done. And what I mean by that is this. You could say all you want about what this is all about. And I can tell you this. I don't know a young person, myself included when I was young, I don't know a young person who, first of all, if he had a job, whether his license is suspended or not, and he has to get to work to make money, to eat, to put a roof over his head, he's going to use the vehicle. So every single day he's out in jeopardy. He is really putting his future. And what are we doing? All for what? Because the man didn't have a motorcycle endorsement? Really? Either the Florida legislation should not be a misdemeanor offense. It actually should be, you know what? The cop literally saw people that he just got the bike, just registered the bike. It's right there in writing. Shows that he got his license, did the right thing there, plated it, did not run, was not a runner. He plated it. He was totally, listen, Nick's defense was, if I was a runner and I didn't have a plate, I would have just ran. He would have never caught me. That would have been the end of it. And it would be costing me all this money. My argument is there comes a time when you got to grow up, period. You got to grow up. You got to get that motorcycle. You got to do it the right way. Got to plate it. He did. Because I wouldn't let him be here in my driveway without it. So he plates the thing. Does the right thing. Within 2 days of plating the thing. 2 days. He's now going to be out $1,500. At minimum. At minimum. If that isn't putting a kid behind the 8 ball to say, you know what? If I just had no plate on this thing, what are you going to do? Come chase me? He wears a helmet. He wears the proper clothes. He does everything right. And all you had to do in traffic is just take that bike and run up. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They do it all the time. You see them on the road. You see massive bikes out there. You look at any crotch rocket out there. He don't have a crotch rocket, but you look at any crotch rocket out there. And I will bet you if you looked at 10 of them, you're going to see 3 or 4 without plates. Or the plate is so tucked underneath the bike, they can't see what it is. Why do they do that? So they can run. They all wear helmets. I give them that. Can't know who the person is. And they take off. Cops can't catch them. What are you going to do? Kill people going 120 miles an hour? No. Should they be doing that? No. And that's there's my argument for having more common sense laws. If we didn't force young people to run, and I say force, again, I'm giving the kids the leave. Listen, somebody here has to be smarter about it. I am dying to get all the footage and everything, and then approach the sheriff of Monroe County, Key West, and ask him, is this just a money grab? Is the tow truck driver that picked him up, and I said, this is the worst county in the world. It's all about the fees. He can't do anything about. They're the sheriff's fees. $200 just to hook him up. $50 administration fee. $13 a mile to the storage facility, whatever it is. The sheriff's fee, the sheriffs get that. That's a lot of money that the sheriffs get. Now, is it just a money grab? And if it's just a money grab, why are you really doing this on the backs of young people? Kind of sicken me. And I know I am not sitting here, and I don't want anybody to believe that. I am not going to sit here and talk about, oh, Larry's, promoting to break the law. No, please, if you can do everything right, do it right, get it right. I think you should. I do. But I can't say I have not, listen, I did not know my own license was suspended until I went to the motor vehicle to re-register my RV. And I had something else to do, register my RV. And was that it? Yeah, I think just register my RV. I had to because it was up. My birthday was up. I didn't know I had some tolls or something that they suspended my license. So I had to have it reinstated, have a letter that said it was reinstated, pay the fine or whatever that was, because I didn't know. So I'm technically illegal. I'm technically out there riding illegal. Am I really? No, I have insurance on the vehicle. I have the vehicle registered. I just had it renewed. And it just drives me nuts that something like that happened to a good friend of mine who's a very successful professional. He's a doctor, and he didn't know he was supposed. Oh, that's what it was. I didn't turn my plate in. I didn't turn a plate in from a car that I got rid of. First of all, in New York, you don't have to turn your plate in. You used to have them all in the wall. A lot of states you don't have to turn. Listen, I paid for the plate. Why should I have to turn it in? I paid for that. Florida law says you have to turn it in or you get a suspended license. Wow. Okay. Money grabs. Is it just people like, is Florida getting so big that they're just, we'll make some money? I really do sometimes believe it's about money. And I hate to be like that. I really don't want myself to be like that. And I try to fight myself by saying, nah, it can't be like that. It really can't. I don't believe it is, but is it? I'm going to St. Louis. Like I said, actually, I'm leaving tonight. Election day night, the 5th, November 5th. I'm leaving tonight. I'll be on the road for 24, 25 hours, whatever it is. I'm going to be on the road. And I am going to speak to Chief of Police from Lake St. Louis, who is a friend. He's the one who gave me my badge. Well, his predecessor, which is Chief Force, who's one of my mentors, great guy, gave me my badge. Him too, Chris. His name is Chris DiGiuseppe. He's the police chief for a while now. And they want my help with what I do with young people and youth. And I love that. And they know I love what I do with that. So I'm going to meet a judge. I'm going to meet a prosecutor. I'm going to meet, I think, some like attorney for the state or whoever it is. And I'm meeting a bunch of people to get my program instituted in that state. Now, mind you, I'm going to tell them this whole story. I want to hear what other officials say, because I don't think a person with common sense is going to say, yeah, it's cut and dry, lad. That's the way. The law is not cut and dry. I wish it was. The law is subjective. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. That's up for debate too. But when I look at a case like this, and when I look at a police department's website and what they say, we are to use good judgment, and I should read what it says, but I won't read that now. I'm gonna do that when I have people online. I'm gonna do a whole video on that, and I look at that and I say, hold on, wait a minute. Are you telling me that you say you should use good judgment, but then you want to put a 22, 23 year, whatever age anybody is, and give them that financial burden, put them behind the 8 ball, make them kind of hate cops? That's another thing. That's what I always often talk about. Police want community policing. Police want to connect with the community. Police want to, have a better reputation. Forget forget bad cops. Bad cops are bad cops. This is bad policy, or this is bad leadership, even to have these officers. I hope when I get all the information, I put it all together, and I go down there and I speak to the sheriff of that county, and I really want to, in a logical manner, and I want to see what he has to say. They put all the good stuff on their websites, and I get all that. And they, obviously, if you see a police department or sheriff's department getting sued a lot and costing the citizens money, because that's who it costs money. Listen, even when they lose what they call qualified immunity, if a cop loses qualified immunity is a police officer has qualified immunity if he's doing something during the job and then someone sues him. Can't be sued. It's qualified immunity, it's called. I mean, you can be sued, but you have to sue the state, and then it only maxes out at so much money. Whole works. Well, when a cop does something that's so egregious that he should have known better and he violates your rights on purpose, or he should have known, he could what they call lose qualified immunity. When you lose qualified immunity, now you're on the hook. The cop is on the hook. Every video I watch, and I watch a lot of them, the city then picks up the tab for him, for the cop. So if the cop loses a verdict for $150,000, the city says, we're going to step in and we're going to pay it. When they say we're going to pay it, they're meaning the taxpayers are paying it. So if you're a taxpayer and you see your department happening that a lot, you better get rid of that chief, because he's doing zero training. And if a cop loses qualified immunity, you got to wonder, why did he lose qualified immunity? And if he lost qualified immunity, there's more to it than just, it's not you made a mistake. It's you did something that a judge said, wait a minute, he should have known better. If he didn't know better, he shouldn't have immunity for this, because this is what he's supposed to do, and he did it maybe deliberately. And then he loses qualified immunity. Most of the time, nothing happens to them, obviously. Obviously, if they're killing people or something like that, they can get indicted, and we've seen that happen now. But that's far and few between, too. Let's face facts. They get police officers, as they should to a degree, get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of cases. Should they get really all of that, the benefit of doubt in that way? I don't believe they should. I think police should be held to a higher standard. One, people ask me all the time, why are you so hard on cops? I'm not really hard on cops. Here's where I'm hard. When you give a person a gun, force, a badge that says, I can do whatever I want, pretty much, drive the way I want. Not supposed to. You can file complaints, but they do. And take another person's either life or liberty under the color of law. In other words, they're given that opportunity that they're right, and you have to prove that they lose qualified immunity instead of them having to prove they should keep qualified immunity. We should hold them to a higher standard. And it boggles my mind why cops keep making the same mistakes they are. Either they can't hire cops and they need people, but then you don't need bad police. It's so counterproductive. I'd rather have no police. If I had a city of, let's say, 1,000 people and you're allotted 4 police officers, I'm just going to give numbers. Don't matter the number. Well, I'd rather have 2 cops that are good cops than have 4 cops and 2 are bad. Because those 2 are bad, and not only to give the 2 that are good bad names, they're going to cost the city money, and they're going to cost citizens maybe their lives or liberty or whatever it is. So I think we have to start analyzing, okay, these police departments are understaffed. Okay, well then be smarter on how you deploy people and be smarter on what cases you pick up, and be a policeman. You'll become better police if you have all good cops. Then people might want to join the force. Then people, if you pay them more, even because you have less and you can pay them more, I believe in that as well, because I think cops are underpaid. But we're not doing any of that. We're letting cops hire people that are totally uneducated. You don't have to have any kind of college degree or anything. Not that the college degree is everything. I told you I don't believe in that either. But every cop should know the first, second, fourth, fifth, sixth, and eighth amendments off the jump. They should have a card in their pocket talking about the Fourth Amendment, illegal searches, seizures, and stuff of that nature, and the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms, and the First Amendment, the right to gather, the right to assemble, or other speech. And they should have those things in their pocket, and they should know them. Whenever these cops get caught with these, what they call orders, First Amendment orders and stuff, and keep making the same mistake, and it's costing these police departments. I just watched 3 shows today. I think it was 125,000, 77,000. If you're losing that kind of money, there's a reason. And if a police department is losing that, you have to look at who's the police chief and why is that happening in that department. Is it because there's lack of training? Is it because of lack of bad hiring? Whatever it is, they need to change. And that's where good politicians come in, or good people who understand hiring processes of people. There was a whole thing on, and they're still having problems. I live not far from Kissimmee. Kissimmee is a little town right outside Orlando. It's actually where you head towards Disney World. You get on a road, go through St. Cloud, and then you get into Kissimmee. And Kissimmee has had a lot of problems. I mean, 2023 they hire a chief. That chief already had to go. August this year, gone. 11 officers either indicted or had to be fired or whatever it was in this small police department. And now, if that's not systematic failure, well, where do you go? Obviously, whoever's the political leaders in that city have to just. Here's the problem with politicians too. Politicians get in office, and you know what the career bureaucrats are, which is the chief of police, the fire chief, the city clerk, the city manager. They look at those elected officials like they don't mean anything, and I think that's wrong. They should be held accountable to those elected officials, but they're not. And these elected officials just go along with the chiefs and go along with whatever they say instead of doing their own research. And they don't want to cause a wave, or that's the big department. That's our money department. Oh, the chief's good. Really? Have you looked into the department? You looked into where they're spending their confiscation fees? Every time I look into a police department and they're not spending the confiscation money the correct way, that's against the law, legally against the law. They have to spend so much on certain things, and people don't know that. I like to look into that to see what the administration is doing with the money, number one. They're not supposed to pay salaries and new cars and any of that stuff with that. They're not supposed to. Till you find out they are, and they're taking federal money that's earmarked for this, using it for cups or something, which is not supposed to. It's supposed to be used for community policing or ways to help the community, whether it's classes or certain stuff like that. And they're not. And I think all these people need to be held accountable, and the people in charge going right up to the politician. That's why I have to get back to the election. Everything I just said about policing, everything goes back to who we elect. Because if you elect the right guy, you elect the right politicians who got the balls to stand up to anybody, who are there for the right reasons. Obviously, they don't make money, these city councils and stuff like that. They don't make money. I think they make $8,000 a year, $10,000 a year, to whatever, $1,000 a month. No, there's way too much time and they have to put in these jobs. Now, with that said, once they're elected, we as a people have an opportunity to fire them every X amount of years, 4 years usually. So now every 4 years, if that guy has not done his job and you voted for him, I don't care that you like him, he's a nice guy who shakes your hand, he lets you go speak at a meeting. No, if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, he should be fired. And the way we fire politicians is voting him out of office. We don't, the people, meaning we don't hire the police chief. We hire the people who hire the police chief. We elect the people who then hire that police chief. So if the police chief is screwing up, who hired him? Is it the city manager? Well, that city manager thinks they're politically connected and they're safe or whatever it is because they're real good friends with this guy and they need the 3 votes. Well, I give our town here, Melbourne, Florida, not far from where I am, right down next town over. The mayor in that town, I give him a lot of credit. His name is Alfred, and I know him. And he ended up doing his research, doing everything right, and getting rid of a city manager who thought he couldn't be fired. Well, that's a good thing to do. And I don't mean it just because the guy was a screw. The guy screwed up enough, but he thought, you can't do anything to me. Well, no, he got ousted. And when he got ousted, I loved it. I said, good for him. Good for that mayor. That mayor saying, listen to me. I am elected by the people. I know what's right and wrong. I just did my research. I have enough complaints against you. What's going on? And he didn't give him the right answers, and he got rid of him. Best thing that can happen. Another problem we have with what I don't know if it's called what it's called when you keep hiring with them within. Sometimes police departments and cities and city managers and everything else need a change. You don't just keep hiring the next person who's in line in that company or that department. Unless you had such a great police chief and he trained the next police chief to be that good. Now you got a good city. Now you got a good police chief, a good city, and a good new police chief. Because you already had it and he proved he was a good police. He's now retiring. He's not leaving for any other reason. Unless it's a bigger paying job or whatever it is. But then he proved how to do a good job. He's given the reins off to somebody who he thinks can handle it. Now they interview him. They check him out. Does well. Usually if somebody's trained well and has a good mentor, he's going to do well. And I believe that. So unless you have that, because if you keep having a department, okay, let's just take Kissimmee. They hired a lady police chief from the last chief that got fired. She didn't last a year. That does not surprise me. When you have a bad police department, you got to fire chiefs and stuff. You better not hire somebody who's their mentor and they just follow their procedures or the way they did their leadership. Can't do that. You can't do that, people. All of what I'm talking about is really pretty easy to fathom and comprehend. One, if you took a little bit of a social studies or a little bit of political science or political government in school at all. I mean, you understand how the structure of the cities go, if it's a strong mayor city or if it's a council-run city, if it's a city manager-run city who answers to the council, which is good too. Same with the sheriffs. There's listen, when a sheriff department runs the jail, that's kind of a no-go. It shouldn't be because they're controlling 2 different budgets, which is not right because he can maneuver the numbers any way he wants. That's a whole nother topic. But that's a constitutional office in of itself. A sheriff is a constitutional office. He don't have to answer to city council. He answers to the voters every 4 years. Which, again, it becomes a political position is what it does. And again, politicians are running shit, whether you believe it or not. That's why I'm such an adamant supporter of young people voting. Because if the young people vote, we're not going to have an issue. They're going to pass Amendment 3 in the state of Florida, which is for legalizing marijuana recreationally. Some people might not believe in it. I believe in it. I think most people, young people, believe in it. Well, if that's the case, vote for it. That's why I like amendments to state constitutions that you have to have. Again, it's a little politics why it gets on there. But once it's on there, then the people vote. And you hope it's usually on a presidential election. And when it's on that big election, most people come out. Now, it's kind of sad because presidential year elections, not as many people come out and vote because they don't think it's as important. In fact, it's more important. I'm trying to get that through to young people as well. And it's just hard sometimes, and I get it. People get jaded. People get, uh, uh, sick and tired of the system, sick and tired of being kicked when you're down. Listen, I know it. If anybody knows it, a man who was tortured in prison and had to go through a whole bunch of shit, I'll tell you what, I'm surprised I'm not more jaded than I am or more against the system than I am. And I'm not. So I can believe that too. And I do believe that. So to end even this, please get out and vote. That's all I'm saying. Just get out and vote. Today's the day. I hope you listen to this. I hope you voted. Let me know you voted. Bobby, I know you're voting. I probably got a good idea who you're voting for, but that's your thing, and I'm glad you're voting, buddy. Your voice is well received. This is our episode 300. I want to thank everybody as well. We do love doing it. We have a lot of fun doing it. We're going to do more of it. We're going to get more guests. I have a new system now, as you can see, that I can put things together a lot easier. And I'm liking that as well because I do want to get a message out. And my message is going to be how we need to fix law enforcement, fix our prison systems, fix a lot. I know, that's asking a lot, but I want to entertain you as well. So we're going to have funny people come on. We're going to have crazy stories like always. And if you have a good topic, please email me, and you can get me at it. There's a couple of emails I have. It's called The Real Deal 1615 at Gmail or Larry Lawton Jewel Thief at Gmail. And I will get those emails, and I take heed to a lot of it. I wanted to thank everybody again for the well wishes after I had my PE, which a PE is a pulmonary embolism, which was a blood clot that traveled through my lung. Doing well on my blood thinners, doing everything I'm supposed to, and trying to sit in shape again. And it's hard. Oh man, this is hard. But wow, I'm getting old. Other than that, please stay safe. Vote, and keep an eye. A good suggestion for anything with law enforcement is to record it. Whether you put your phone down and record the voices, or whether you have a camera in your mirror. I have a camera in my vehicles that actually can interact. I want to get something for my motorcycle as well. But hey, I'll be honest. I got stopped by a Melbourne police officer last Friday night. I was wrong. I was polite, nice. He was too. He said, "Listen, you did the right thing, Larry. I'm not going to give you a ticket. Just slow down." And I think that was great. So I want to say that as well. But they do treat an older man a lot different than they do treat a younger person. So that I want you to remember as well. So get out, vote, do your thing, have a camera. Don't ever escalate a situation with law enforcement. Be nice, and then we can help you more than being an asshole. Because that does no good. He's an asshole, then you become an asshole. It's a no-win situation. Now, he's an asshole and you're polite and he still does shit to you. That's when judges are human beings and people see it as well. So don't ever forget that as well. All right, guys, have a great day. Stay safe. Enjoy the day. It should be a holiday. Have a great day.